So why did I choose Warsaw, Poland to live in? Above all, it's because I'm Polish. You can call me Polish American. Issues of identity is something I've thought about for a long time. But my family line goes back hundreds of years. We've traced it back hundreds of years. My dad is into genealogy, so he's done the research. Into central and western Poland. So it's all Polish going back a long time. I'm the first generation born in the United States, and then everyone before me, my parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, all came from Poland as far as I know. So I feel at home here. And why Warsaw? Because I chose Warsaw as the central place to live, to be. And there's the family connection, so of course there's a Polish heritage, but specifically my mom's side of the family is from Warsaw, so I feel good here. I lived here for almost 2 years. When I was a kid, I went to third grade and half of fourth grade, so I learned Polish pretty well, on top of learning it from family growing up. 3 of my 4 grandparents lived nearby when I was a child, so my dad's parents lived in the same city as I did. I saw them a lot, and I only spoke to them in Polish. And my mom's dad lived in San Francisco. But then why Warsaw? I could also live in Poznań, where my dad is from. I could live in Krakow, the very beautiful, historic former capital of Poland. But I chose Warsaw. Warsaw is the center of cultural life, political life, economic life, and I'm just about in the center of Warsaw now. You have a Ferris wheel behind me, which is not an everyday feature, but you can see here they are doing a Christmas market, which I think is a first here. They renovated a big part of this square in front of the Palace of Culture, and it looks like they're going to do a first-time Christmas market here on top of, I hope, the Old Town Christmas market. So you have a lot of things going on here in Warsaw. You have, of course, concerts and events with public speakers and social events and public holidays, and all kinds of things are done on the largest scale here in the capital. And so I felt comfortable here since I lived here. I had that experience. It's changed a lot, and I'll go into the changes at another video, so do subscribe if you want to see more. But it still retains that familiarity to me, and I've been living here pretty consistently for about 12 years. I've been back and forth a lot between here and the United States, but I've really gotten to know Warsaw quite well, especially the city center where I am now. So it feels definitely like, if not home in the sense of where your parents are and your closest family is, it's become like a second home. And it's becoming more and more like that home, I think, the home that you think of as a child growing up, that kind of a thing. As a historian, Warsaw is also fascinating to me. So behind me you have the Palace of Culture, which is a so-called gift from Stalin, was a so-called gift from Stalin. At the end of the Warsaw Uprising, when the city was totally destroyed, the center of the city still had a bunch of buildings, livable buildings, but those buildings were demolished in order to make way for the Palace of Culture, a Stalinist symbol where you have concert halls and rooms for various purposes. You have a grand entryway, you have an observation deck at the top, you have offices, you have a university there. But it was, among other reasons, the reason it was built here, besides being a strong symbol, was to tear up the fabric of the city, the central fabric of the city, where thousands and thousands of people lived. And because Warsaw was the center of the opposition to the communists and the underground against the Germans as well, of course the Warsaw Uprising happened here, the largest operation of the underground, unsuccessful and tragic in its consequences. But it happened here because there were the most underground soldiers here, the most resources here, and this was the capital city, which the Polish Home Army and National Armed Forces wanted to liberate before the communists arrived. So there's Złota Street, Gold Street, which is on the other side of the Ferris wheel, which is present on both sides of the palace. But because the palace was built, it cut off those streets. So it used to be a crisscross of streets here where people would live. So aside from that being, its own story, it's just another example of how the history in Warsaw is living to the present day. So on a daily basis, I am reminded of how much happened here in Warsaw, of how much significant history happened here that decided the fate of Poland for generations to come. And it's not just to think about it and to be, sad about it. Of course, it's terrible what happened, but also to understand where we came from, which is the entire purpose of history, to learn where we came from, and based on that, to speculate or at least have an informed guess of where we're going. Some of the more pragmatic reasons that I chose Warsaw as opposed to another European city or maybe another city in the United States is that it's just less expensive here than San Francisco, for example, or New York, or London, or Paris, all cities that I've been in and I like to one degree or another. Of course, as Poland's economy has grown, it has become much more expensive here. So it's by no means a cheap city. It's not like somewhere in, maybe in the Balkans, like a second-tier city, or even in Poland, a smaller city. But nonetheless, even today, even 12 years, 13 years after I first spent a long term living here as an adult, it still is less expensive than other places in the U.S. For me personally, too, I got my PhD in history here in Poland, which turned out to be a much more straightforward process than it would have been in the United States. And maybe the most important reason why I chose Poland is because I want to have a family, I want to have children, I want to pass on my language, Polish language, culture, history, and heritage to my children, because I think having a strong sense of your identity, where you come from, is very important. I'm blessed that I was born in the United States and that I was given many opportunities, which I've tried to take as much advantage of as possible, but I know where I come from, and I think that is a priceless thing. And as much as I don't think that the part of my identity that is tied to America is inconsistent, it's not inconsistent with me being Polish. I know where I come from, and this is a place which I want to have as a strong part of my life as I go forward. And a big part of that is to be in a physical place. The Polonia, or the Polish diaspora, has done tremendous work over the generations, especially in the immediate post-World War II period and also preceding World War I, to inculcate a strong sense of Polish identity in younger generations born abroad. There's no substitute for being here on the spot, using the Polish language, seeing all these places tied to history, participating in the various celebrations and holidays and traditions on the spot. So that's something that's priceless to me and something that I'm trying to take full advantage of. And I hope that my successors, the ones that come after me, will benefit from that as well. So I think I'm going to go have a coffee of course I'm still representing the San Francisco Giants and various aspects of America, but I think I'm going to go have a coffee inside of the Palace of Culture. There's a Green Cafe Nero. It's like the Starbucks of Warsaw, you could say. I met the founder here about a couple years ago, and it's been something that I've enjoyed partaking in more so than, like a Starbucks, which actually isn't too popular here in Poland. So I'm glad there's something a little different here. It's not just all Western things, which is another reason I like it here. It's different. It's different than San Francisco. We'll have to do a comparison video between San Francisco and Warsaw, and why I think Warsaw is better. San Francisco does have a lot going for it. You can't deny that. I know it gets a lot of bad press, some of it deserved, maybe much of it, but it also is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And as much as I like Warsaw, I don't think it can compare with San Francisco in terms of its geographic location and its beauty and everything. So here, one more look at the Ferris wheel. And let's go ahead. So thanks for watching. Subscribe for more, and I will see you next time. Nick in Warsaw.